Good morning, YouTubers. T Square with T Square Talk. Hope everybody's having a great day. It is Friday, end of the week, and off to the weekend, which is usually when I have stopped making videos over the weekend. However, this weekend I think I'm going to try to promote my shorts, to try to get some shorts to get some big views as the month is coming to the end. I may end up actually doing a video this weekend. I'm undecided on that, only because weekends tend to get more people surfing the internet. I've actually contemplating switching my Saturday and Sunday not doing videos for like a Monday and a Tuesday, or kind of mixing it up and do a different day, only because typically Saturdays are the best views for the week. And I was like, man, that's like the worst day to take off. So I've been thinking about switching that up, and you guys can let me know in the comments what you guys think of that. With that being said, I got a great video planned out for you guys today, even though I'm going to be kind of talking about a couple different comments that I had received. And I kind of feel bad when people catch like one of my videos and then I get told, I don't know, some stuff, and I'm going to talk about that, where, hey, where's these big dips that you've been saying is going to happen for like 4 months now? I mean, we've seen a big dip right around the 90-day mark of the year. So last quarter, we did see a big drop. We saw the price of silver drop from $35 all the way down to 28. That's not a mistake. 35 to 28. So we did see a big dip. However, I've said time and time again, these dips aren't going to last. As a whole, as an overall picture, you're going to gradually see silver and gold continue to climb in price. There's almost no way around that. If you're like me and you're just looking to catch a big order on a good dip, but you're going to buy consistently small stuff here and there when you have opportunities to, I might be going to an estate sale tomorrow. I actually had seen online somebody was doing an estate sale, and they showed some pictures of some silver. And I said, man, I might be able to pick that up cheap. Who knows? So I'm actually contemplating actually going. Actually, I shouldn't say tomorrow, because I'm filming this at 2:30. It's actually in, I don't know, like 7 hours from now. So I kind of want to go and just see if I could get lucky and maybe, pull something, a good deal on something. You never know. I also had someone else tell me there's a possibility, you might be wrong on this call. You called the debt hitting 37 trillion on the day, literally right after midnight. But yeah, you can't hit them right all the time. I'm not ashamed to make predictions. When I watch some of these other YouTubers, I always hear them just come out, and it's easy to say silver's going to go up in price. Anybody can say that, and I'm sure people love hearing that romantic fantasy and easy to call. But here's the thing: people are being told what they want to hear, essentially. I mean, and essentially, we will continue to see silver go up. I believe that. But when I hear predictions that are through the roof, I'm sorry. I can't stand by those through the roof predictions when you've been saying it, or a lot of YouTubers have been saying it for years. I've literally heard that silver was going to go to $200 or $300 now for like 8 years from some channels. I started stacking probably 9 years ago. I started watching all these YouTube videos, and I even started making my own, and I would hear these, and I'm not going to lie, when I first started making videos, I would regurgitate a lot of stuff that I heard. And as time went on, I wanted to do my own homework. I wanted to look at the charts. I wanted to try to find patterns that we do see on a regular basis. Generally, we see big dips every quarter. When I look at, and I forgot to say, please take a quick minute, hit that thumbs up button, help me out if you enjoyed today's video. Hit that subscribe if you're new to the channel. It really helps me out more than you know. But we see these dips time and time again. These huge, the silver was going up. I make a video that, hey, we'll probably see a pullback at the end of the month, and then all of a sudden, right on cue, we see this big drop in the price of silver at the end of the month, at the end of the financial quarter, And then all of a sudden the price climbs up again. And when I receive a comment like I did today about, hey, where are these big drops that you've been talking about for 4 months? They're not going to sit and just wait. I don't think silver is going to plunge in the long haul. Silver is going to continue to rise over time. Just like the dollars and the fiat currency of the world is going to continue to decline over time. Yes, even in the dollar, you will see a pop all of a sudden and then start filtering back down again. That's them trying to prop up the dollar. And if it gets too valuable, a lot of people will cash it in and exchange it. Same with silver. When silver is going and they want to manipulate it down, well, yeah, they can beat it down, but they can't hold it down forever. I have an attitude, and this has worked for me. Does it work for everybody? Some people don't follow it. I look for my biggest purchases to be done during dips like this right here that we had seen. And some of y'all know I charged one of my credit cards pretty heavily. I talked about it when it happened. I said, I know I shouldn't be buying on debt, but to me it's worth it. $30 silver, $31 silver, even $32 silver. I can't get it for them prices anymore. Now I'm paying that credit card that, yes, it's interest free for 1 year. I'm paying it. Is it going to go back down there? I don't know. I don't 100% know how low silver could dip when it dips. But generally you see these dips over time. And even if I pull up this chart, this is a 1 year chart. You can see these dips every single time when it gets to new highs. 3150 was a high. And then all of a sudden, at the end of a financial quarter, we see this down to 2660. Okay. And yeah, that's not a typo. This was August 24. August 2024. And then we start seeing it climb again right off. We see it get up October 2024, and then we see another big pull down. We seen it go up. Same here. The very end of March, we seen it get up to $35 almost, and then we seen it get beat all the way down to $28.25. And then we seen it start climbing again. Here we are again. Now, we got up to $37, $37.30, $37.35. And yeah, we seen it start coming down. We're at $36.20. We actually seen it at $35.40, I think, the other day. So yeah, these dips don't last. Gradually, we're seeing higher highs and higher lows. And that trend, I believe, will continue. But I'm looking for the dips. I don't want to be buying at highs. I want to buy on the dips. Now, I received a comment today, or I should say yesterday, that, well, I got one I had read I found funny. Me and my wife, every time you slip up and say $26 silver instead of $36, we have a shot. And yes, that counts for a shot. I did say $26 silver. Now that counts for 2 shots. But people I have this one subscriber that always makes jokes. I always find it funny. Needless to say, we're going to see it keep going up over time. You can buy these dips if you want or don't. I like to buy sales. When I go to the grocery store, I might need some extra canned soup. If it goes on sale today, I'm going to buy a case of it today. And I'm not going to buy any for the next few weeks. Same with silver. I'm going to end up picking up when we see the dips, and I'm going to hold back. With that recent huge purchase I put on my credit card, I mean, that's okay to me because I have a year to pay it off. That's 365 days. In general, I'm convinced in 365 days, silver will be more expensive. I would have to pay more for it. So when I see a dip and I can all of a sudden pick up a little extra and put it away and then pay it off later, to me, that's a good deal. I know some people always tell me you shouldn't be buying silver on credit. And you know what? The truth of the matter is credit is bad. But if you know how to use credit and you're disciplined You have discipline. You know how to manage your money. You know how to do what's right and what's wrong. Credit's not bad. Credit is a double-edged sword. I've seen people use credit to buy stuff that has gone up in value before the bill came in. And that's great if you can do that. But for the people out there that are saying, I'm going to buy a big screen TV on credit, well, these are fun purchases. They're cool. And I'll be honest, I buy fun purchases all the time. Generally, they don't make me any money, though. I'll give you a scenario. I like the new $100 Texas Lotto tickets. I know gambling's bad. It pays out $9.50 out of a $1,500 book. That means that pretty much 3 or 4 of the 15 tickets in the book are going to be winners. And am I guaranteed I'm going to hit one of the winners? No. But on average, there's almost always a $500 winner in the book. It's nice when I buy a ticket and I hit that big one right there. And many of times I have done it. But many of times I've lost out. Some lottery tickets, though, they only pay 10% back. So the book might take in $500. Well, they only pay back people $100. But where I'm going with this is these are just fun purchases. Everything from maybe a pool table to a new car to a new TV or to a fancy kitchen remodel. These are things that you're buying or you're investing in for other reasons besides growth. When I buy gold and silver, I'm buying gold and silver for the growth potential. I'm seeing it go up. I had someone tell me at the beginning of the year. So here in Texas, we got property taxes. They're always due right around, December. I think February 1st or January 1st. I think maybe the end of February, they're due the last day of February maybe. Needless to say, in some people's cases, they have the ability to file a split pay, which means you pay a quarter of it that day, then 60 days later you pay another quarter, and then 60 days later you pay another 25%, and then 60 days later you pay the last 25%. And at the beginning of the year, I did that. And I had a friend of mine tell me, he's like, let me tell you, what is the point of that? Just pay it. You got to pay it anyway. I said, no, you're right. I do have to pay it. But I want you to think for a quick minute. I didn't take my money at the beginning of the year and pay it like I should have. I did the split pay. I wanted to use my tax money, that $2,000, on something else. And it just so happens I wanted to use it on $28.91 silver. And yes, I'm saying it right now. $28.91 silver. I took the whole $2K and put it on that. And I said, I'm just going to pay the bare minimum. So technically, I didn't put the whole $2K. I actually put $1,500 on that. And then I put the $5 on my property taxes. And then 2 months later, I ended up putting another $5. Another $5 that I would have liked to essentially maybe buy silver with, but I couldn't because I knew now I had to pay. Well, at that point, if I had bought in silver with that $5, silver was at $31.74. And that was on, the basically the 1st of March. But I paid that. But I had already bought my silver all in the beginning of the year on that note. Then 2 months later, April and May, let's see here where we're at, May 1st. How much was it? On May 1st, we were at $33 silver. I already took that money and bought silver. If I had done it the other way, I would have been able to pick up some more silver on essentially May 1st, but I couldn't because I had to pay the tax bill that next quarter. And now, here we are coming up on July. And I say quarter, even though I've talked to them about this. And I said, why do they even call it 4 quarters? Because technically, it's not a quarter if I only have 2 months. 2 months, 2 months, 2 months. Here we are now where we're at $36.21. And there would be another, essentially, quarter due here shortly. So by doing it this way, or another 2-month payment coming up, By doing it this way, I'm able to invest the money. I mean, let's be honest. If you borrow money today, where is money going to be worth tomorrow? Every day, your fiat, and I shouldn't even use the word money, your fiat cash is technically worth less every day. Now, you don't see it from one day to the next. Let's be honest. I mean, if I go to the grocery store today and I buy some, I don't know, ketchup and a steak and maybe some chicken, it's rare that you're going to go tomorrow and see the prices have gone up. But if you go in a month from now, I would safely bet the prices on them items is going to be more expensive. Why is that? Because they're watering down the money. They're printing more money. They're debasing the currency. And there again, I'm using the word money because a lot of people out there don't understand the difference between money and precious metals and, fiat and money, I guess you can say. They associate fiat dollars as money. They associate money as fiat dollars. What they don't associate is precious metals. Once you see that, once you really understand that, you understand that everything is going up in dollars, including gold and silver. When I see these naysayers come in the comments and make it sound like, oh, they've been saying silver is going to go up for years, what they're actually hearing is the people out there that are telling you that silver is going to go to $500 tomorrow. They're hearing this. Today's your last opportunity. You better hurry up and buy now. That's not the approach that I take. And I know maybe that's why I'm not one of the favored hot channels, because I'm not glamorizing it for you. Maybe I'll do a video one day and I'll tell you guys where silver is going to go. The truth of the matter is, it's going to keep going up. You're probably not going to become a multimillionaire tomorrow. However, you've been investing in silver for a little while. Let me just snooze that real quick. You've been investing in silver for a little while now. In general, you probably have a nice little stack to your name. And it's all higher priced today than it was when you bought it. Are you better off? Yes. When people tell you, well, you're not really better off because everything went up in price. Okay, that's true. You might be in a similar situation with buying power, but you're better off than the guy that didn't buy precious metals, that just saved his money in a savings account or under his mattress or whatever. Once you realize that, you know what you need to do. You know that you need to take advantage and pick yourself up some precious metals. It doesn't mean you need to bet the farm. It doesn't mean you need to go all out. It means have a little diversity, especially for the people out there that don't have any precious metals. There's a lot of them people out there that have none. And time again, I talk to people. And I'll be like, what do you think about precious metals? And, some of these people come back to me. Years later, I'll bump into them, or even a year later. And they'll be like, man, I wish I had bought when you had first told me about it. I mean, I started talking about silver 1730. That's easy. Technically, I probably started talking a little higher when it was a little higher than that. But I had plenty of opportunity to pick it up in the teens. As low as 15. But unfortunately, I was dollar cost averaging. So when I seen it dip to 15 on 4th of July weekend, nonetheless, somebody actually contacted me that I had talked to him about it. And he said, hey, I see silver prices down to 15. I want to put in, a few monster box order. The guy ended up putting in 2 boxes of Eagles and 2 boxes of generic rounds. He had the money to do it at that time. Me, I'd been buying dollar cost averaging. And dollar cost averaging worked great. It did. But it made it to where I missed out on that plunge when it went down $2 on the 4th of July weekend. And then they're running a spot price deal. And I'm sitting there like, the best I can do is make a $100 purchase or a $200 purchase. I can't bet big on it right now. Because I've been spending all my money on that. So when I see the price plunge now, I either save up some cash or I use a credit card. And like I said, credit cards aren't for everybody. Some people don't know how to manage them. I know some people that are in debt $40,000-$50,000 on credit cards, and they're just making the minimum monthly payment. And when I talk to them, I've even had one person tell me, well, hopefully you'll be right sooner or later, and they're just going to cancel everybody's debt. I said, I wouldn't count on that happening. When I say that, I say it's a possibility that they may have a debt jubilee where they just wipe everything out and reset everything. Generally, though, when you've got someone on the hook already, why do you let them go? Think about the mentality of corporate world, the business world, the people that have the money that really control the politics. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I mean, there's nothing wrong with having a reset of the system. And you have a reset, it gives people hope. It makes people think, hey, I can start over and I can build something up here. I'm not buried making ends meet. But you also will have people that will go the other way. Thank goodness I'm out of debt. I don't have to even go to work now. I don't owe anybody anything. Why? Because they reset everything. Now they'll have to go to work to pay for food and stuff, but will they have to really go out of their way and work the overtime that some of these people work? I know some people that work 100 hours a week, and that's not an exaggeration. 100-hour a week. That means you're working 16-hour days. Some people might say, oh, you can't do that, or whatever the case may be. People don't really understand what big companies can do. I myself work 16 hours a day when I work for the oil companies offshore. They flew me out there, and they had us work 16 hours a day, 18 hours a day in some cases, if there was something major. When you've got a pipeline down and they're losing billions of dollars at a time, they want that up and running. I had a buddy of mine, he actually, he was wearing a harness one day, and we were on a rig out offshore, and the kid's harness got caught on some kind of a switch. This switch was the control switch that fed 4 rigs, oil rigs offshore, kind of like Deepwater Horizon, that fed them into one central. We were on the central rig, and then from that rig, it fed them to the shore. Why? Because they can't run individual pipelines from every rig to the shore. I mean, you're talking not hundreds of miles, but you're talking a ways away, probably hundreds of miles in some cases. But let's just say, hypothetically, 100 miles. They can't run pipelines from every one of them rigs. So usually what they do is they set up a cluster. One rig is fed to the shore, and then the other rigs are fed to that one. Kind of like octopus, how all the tentacles feed into the center. But then, in this scenario, you'd have one tentacle that would go to land. Well, the kid got his harness caught on it and broke it. We were losing $15 million, I guess, a day, every day that was down. And we had to wait like a week and a half to get it, and then they wanted it put on ASAP. We had to shut the rig down, get it up and running. The amount of money that's at stake, they're going to work. You're going to work. It was cool in a way. I liked it. I got to eat whatever I wanted out there. Somebody cooked my meals. Somebody washed my clothes. All I had to do was get off work, go and shower, and I could go to sleep. A lot of times I'd play poker with guys in the evening, and then I'd go to sleep. And some days I'm too tired to do anything. And then I'd go on vacation for my week. After you just did 2 or 3 weeks on, you'd get your 1 week off, and you're exhausted. You might as well say the first day you spend driving home, because I was working in Louisiana. I had to drive from, it was actually Lafayette, Louisiana. We flew out of Houma, I think. Or actually, I'm sorry, it was Houma, Louisiana. Flew out of Houma, the heliports, and they just flew us right to the rig. But once I got back to Houma, then I had to drive all the way back home. Well, there's 8, 9, 10 hours. So, you got to understand the amount of money that's at stake. And where I'm going with this is people are just overworked. People are overworked because they're foolish with their money. They don't know how to use credit. Credit is a very good tool. It's a powerful tool. When I started out with real estate, when I was really young, I used credit to buy. I'll be honest, I didn't sleep at night at all then, but then again, I don't sleep now hardly. But it's a bad feeling when you're $500,000 in debt and people are telling you, if all your tenants move out, you're going to lose everything. It's a scary feeling. I wished I had stayed with it and just kept expanding, because there was so many opportunities to keep expanding. Once you've got one and you're borrowed against that and to buy another one, and then you borrow against that to buy a third one, then you borrow against that one to buy a fourth one. Granted, you're building something that can all come crashing down instantly. But that's where credit comes in good in some cases, if you can juggle it, if you know how to use it responsibly. But a lot of people, unfortunately, they don't. They use their credit to buy foolish things, to take a cool vacation, and I'll be honest, I don't spend on lavish things. I have some of my friends that are like, dude, you've got money, you're not hurting. Why don't you do some fun stuff? You can't take it with you. No, you're right. You can't take it with you, but down the road, it's nice to know that you have a nest egg if something bad happens. It's nice to know that if we see another 2008 housing crisis, which could be around the corner, you never know what could happen. It's nice to know that you can snag something dirt cheap, maybe even a few somethings. Who knows what houses could come down to. I know in my area, they are building like crazy everywhere. It seems like around here. Why? Because oil companies are making money and they're bringing in more and more people, and the area is growing. Areas like Houston, Corpus, the areas are growing. I actually talked to a realtor yesterday and asked her what her prediction is. This is a straight shooter. This girl is not going to tell me that the market's going to plunge if it ain't gonna. She could make a mistake, don't get me wrong, but she's going to be blunt with me. And, she said, honestly, I think the market is just going to go sideways. When they lower interest rates, then yeah, more people will start buying. But you got to understand, that takes 6 months before that really filters, maybe even a year before it filters out to people. Yeah, they cut interest rates tomorrow, let's hypothetically say. Yes, it cuts it for the bank, and then the bank will take a month or two before they cut their rates and change everything, and then people will all of a sudden start looking at the cheaper rates, and then they'll start buying. But that buying also has a couple months delay. That's where the 6 months to a year comes into play, with all the delays. But here's the thing that a lot of people don't talk about. If the housing market was to collapse, if the economy was to collapse fast, it can, then you have stuff happen really fast. Too many markets too many houses hit the market at the same time. That will lower a lot of the prices. As the prices come down, you might be paying a higher interest rate, but it ain't going to be long before interest rates come down when everything is collapsing. Why? Because they have to promote spending. They got to get you to spend some money. Otherwise, they're not going to be taking in taxes. That's where a lot of this stuff comes into play. And, overall, it's inevitable that prices are going to keep going up. What scenario could play out where we're going to see silver plunge back to $20? I honestly cannot think of any scenarios, because in order for silver to plunge back down below 20, is gas going to go back down to $1? $1.20? $1.25? No, it's probably not. Is steak going to plunge back down to $4 a pound? No, I can't see that happening either. Are homes going to get cut? Homes could come down. Half. You need some extreme circumstances. In general, prices go up. The sooner people realize that, the sooner they realize, well, if prices are going up on every single thing we buy, what is the point in saving dollars if they're going to be worth less and less and less every month, every year, 10 years? Once you realize that, you start to really, look at stuff differently. You start to want to get rid of the dollars and put it in something that will go up in value. But you need to be careful. You buy a bunch of property and the property is vacant and you're paying taxes on it. You're paying upkeep on it. you're paying insurance on it, that adds up. And with taxes in Texas, I don't know if we're the worst, but our taxes here keep going up. And someone might be like, well, you get exemption, don't you, because you're military? Yeah, but those exemptions only count for one property. Any properties after one, that's it. They hammer the heck out of you. And here's the thing. Texas, we have a cap, a 10% cap. So that means they can't raise your taxes by more than 10% in 1 month. In 1 year. The problem is, if you have a second house, they can raise them as much as they want because that's a business property in their opinion. Your primary, 10% max cap. Anything else, that's it. They can do whatever they want. And it's hard to fight these things. People are like, well, you can argue your taxes. It's difficult. It's difficult. It's not difficult to bring it down a little bit. It's difficult to bring it down to what it's really worth. I've simply told the tax people, hey, you want to buy my house for what you want to tax appraise it at? We're not in that business. Yeah, because nobody will buy it for that. I put it on the market, and nobody wanted to buy it for that price. The best offer I had was this number, and you're trying to tax appraise it for, 60 grand more than that. Where are you getting your numbers from? You're comparing a new house to an old house. Clearly, there's a difference there. I mean, a new house looks awesome, But back to silver, I want people to understand, yeah, we've seen the dips. And as I'm making this video, silver is coming down. Silver's down back to $36 again, $36.07. I mean, you think about where it was, we were almost $37 yesterday. I'm filming this at 3 now. It's 3 in the morning, 3 a.m., Friday morning. And I'm filming this. Usually 4 o'clock is when we have our low point. I'm hoping I'm going to go to sleep for a few hours, get back up in the morning, go check that estate sale. I'm hoping the price is still going down. It's nice to go to any kind of sale and they've got some silver and the price happens to be down while you're there. I don't want to see it pop back up. The question, will we see that dip that I've been talking about? This month, the dip that I've been talking we should see this month, not the dip 4 months ago. We saw that 3 months ago, but I'm talking about this dip. This dip, I mean, I'll be honest, it gets frustrating. We're there. We should have seen it yesterday, but we saw it pop almost to 37. But when you see this volatility, silver jumping up $1 in 1 day and then silver going down $1 in 1 day, that tells me that they can move it. If you're seeing that in dollar moves every day, we could see a $2 a devastating hit. And going into the 4th of July weekend, a lot of places are closed. A lot of people are off. A lot of people ain't going to be paying attention. So if we see that dip come, I'm going to be ready. And for the people out there that think that silver should be a lot higher, I think it should be higher, but I know the game they're playing. They're manipulating the markets. They're manipulating stuff, and they're going to drop it, and they're going to drop it fast. They're going to drop it when you're asleep, when you're out, I don't know, for the holiday with your kids, with your family, when you're not paying attention. Yeah, they can't do it when the markets are closed. I mean, but here's the thing. 4th of July, everybody in the world has a 4th of July. It's a little riddle. Some people are like, is China got a 4th of July? Well, yeah, they have a 4th of July. They just don't celebrate 4th of July like we do here in the United States. China's going to be open on the 4th of July. Are you going to be sitting there watching the computer on the 4th of July? Probably not. And when it's moving, some company, some big bank could have already told, hey, I want 10 people to come in. We're going to do a special project this weekend. JP Morgan. Okay, you get your 10 people. They come in. They don't know what's going on. Everybody sit at a computer. We're going to start selling contracts on silver, and we're going to plunge the price down. Once we get it down to this number, we're going to buy it all back up physical. And we're going to close out our short positions. By the 4th of July weekend, the short positions were supposed to already have been settled. But they can push them back. They can roll them over. They can settle in cash. They can look for opportunities to make that money back that they would have lost if we don't see that drop. But I looked earlier today, and a lot of the short positions have already covered. With that being said, who knows how low we'll see it go? We're seeing it dip right now. You can see that it's working its way down again. We've been seeing this back and forth now for a little while. Let me refresh this actually so I can get this 3-day. I really like this 3-day chart that's down here a little bit because it gives you a nice view of where it's at. The green line is Friday. The red line is yesterday, and the blue line is Wednesday. We're not far off from the average of the Wednesday price. We're coming back down. How come down can it come? I mean, we could easily see it back in the $35 range. Are we going to see $33? That's tough to say at this point because we're getting late in the month. But I'm still not changing my strategy. I'm going to stick with it because I've seen what happened different times where you start to give up and then all of a sudden it happens. And are you ready? Are you prepared? I do have a belief that we're going to see silver start climbing fairly rapidly once we see that dip that is coming. That dip is not going to last more than a day. And then we're going to see it start climbing rapidly. And that's where I think we'll see that new 13-year high on silver. We'll see it go back to the 37.50 and 38, 39, might even pop that 40. We pop that 40, there's going to be a lot of excitement, but there's also going to be pullback. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to be thinking 40 is high. Is it high? No. Silver can go as high as the dollar can go low. If the dollar crashes and it's worthless, take trash out of a trash can, how much is it worth? How much would you sell it for? You take anything for it. You know what I mean? Take water when you're stranded in a desert. How much would you pay for it? You would give up anything for it. You have to understand these things to really understand the gold and silver. And some people are not going to understand it the way I'm explaining it, and I apologize. Some people just don't really think about it to the extreme that some of us think about it. So I'm watching the price right now. We're starting to see it roll back. We could see a swing tomorrow morning. I think Friday we're going to see that beat down. That's today. We could get lucky and see the dip today happen. Okay, if I see hypothetically $34 Friday morning, would I buy? Of course. At this point I would, because now we're getting close to the end of the month. But a lot of other people will buy thinking we're not going to see the dip. And then there's no telling if Sunday night, when the markets open overseas, they won't push that down a little bit more real quick, get to that $33 level, and then have it pop back up to $34, $35 before the markets even open in the United States. So with that being said, I'm going to wrap up here real quick. We got gold trading at $32.28. We're seeing gold pull back quite nicely. I originally said gold I didn't expect would see as much of a pullback. The best on gold we're probably going to see is $3,150. We're working our way down there. I said the best we would probably see on silver would be 33 and change. Are we going to make it? That's $3 off right now. I don't know. Bitcoin looking good right now, 107,000. Doing a good job holding that position right now. Who knows where it will play out. The DXY, the dollar right now, sitting at 97.23, about ready to get down into the 96s. We're getting into the 96s. Think about what that's doing. This should be pushing the price of gold and silver up, but instead, gold and silver is going down. Why is that? Think about that. It's manipulation. But they're fighting the manipulation of the rising price, the falling of the dollar, and they're trying to still cover their shorts. So once you understand that, that's a different thing. Debt, $37 trillion. We're climbing. We're putting on about $5 billion a day every day. And asset market cap, the last thing we're going to look at before I wrap up. I always like to look at this chart. Gold will probably be number one for a long time. Some people say Bitcoin's going to be number one someday. Bitcoin got to get to number 5 first. Now, are they far from it? No. If they were to tack on Bitcoin at 115,000, they'd probably be number 5. And then they've got a big ways to jump between 5 and 4. So taking a look at silver, though, silver's sitting right now in number 8. It doesn't take much for it to go to number 7, to go to number 6, even to go to number 5. But there again, to get to number 4, Apple has a $3 trillion market cap, which means it's going to be tough for anything to overtake Apple. And then after that, it's Microsoft at 3.6, Nvidia at 3.7, and then think of the jump between 2 and 1. You got 3.7 trillion all the way to 22.1 trillion. Not much is going to take gold out of the equation. Generally, gold is going to continue to go up. Central banks are buying it, and it's inevitable. Oh my word, 40 minutes. I am so sorry. I will talk to y'all later. Hopefully you enjoyed today's video. I didn't realize I was talking that long. You get talking, you enjoy it too much, and here we are. Be sure to check out some of my other great videos. Some of y'all will like a long video. Some of you won't make it through. If you made it to the end, let me know. I love hearing that because a lot of people don't like long videos. But I won't be here most likely this weekend, but I might do a video. Who knows? I need to pump my views up a little bit. So hit that thumbs up button. Thank you all for watching. I will talk to you again later. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye. Oh, and a great weekend if I don't see you. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.